Nobody's more important than the other. You step aside of your ego to be humble. But the fact is, each one of us has something that is very, very similar. And those, I like the fact that William or Bill or whoever was guiding him for his book, didn't you say, well, Ken, did he say chosen in his title?
Selected by extraterrestrials.
Yep.
Selected by extraterrestrials.
Okay. Well, Tom and I were told we were chosen before we were born, and that was pretty hard to handle. The only thing that saved me was my religious upbringing and seeing billboards that said, I knew you before you were born, and there was a little baby almost fully developed in the womb, and I'd had that and seen that with my daughters. So I had experienced babies coming out of me and, in a little cocoon or, having to break the water like you see little animals or kittens or dogs come out. You come out in this little thing and boop, if somebody gets to come out of your tummy anyway, and when they come out, a lot of the water breaks and the skin comes off of you. But I realized that with my experiences, I'm putting together my own story, and I would suggest each person do that. Now, tonight we've got UFO Secret Space Command topics, levels, timelines, and metaphysics, because a lot of the metaphysicians are magicians, and we're looking at a lot of people around the world that don't really believe in religions or metaphysics or occult wisdom. But cosmology, I have a book called Knowing Cosmology out there, but it would be very helpful to a lot of people reading about cosmology, and metaphysics is in cosmology. So think about it. We've got a lot of topics. Now, I want to mention that the reason I asked Ken and Janet is because I don't know too many people on the planet that are kindred spirits that can talk about the UFO Secret Space Command, which is probably different for Karen and Janet and Ken and Brett Cullen Shepard and even Matteo Ionio over in Italy, because he look at the photos on Mars. But there's something going on, and I can tell you that as the algorithms follow us, I want to get into how AI follows us as well, those beings that have souls and those that don't. And please listen to Linda Moulton Howell, listen to Richard Dolan, listen and form your own opinion, because I've only got a few people that I trust to at least be good journalists, meaning fact-finding, and that they cite why they think the way they do. And a lot of authors and journalists and investigators and researchers that I've known in the past, they didn't know me, and it's going to be interesting to see how I am coming into play now. I waited until President Bush passed, and there's a story and a reason for that, and I'll have to get into the details. But now I feel much freer because I carry my husband's UFO off-planet story and us working with the command off-planet and working with the Andromeda Galaxy, but also working in the various universes, multiverse, and the 7 universes. So when working in one's physical reality, it's hard because it's like the Yellow Book or Tom and I was using computers before there were computers. Tom and I was using holograms before there were holograms. Tom and I were seeing beings and people in different types before other people. And then we were so compartmentalized that we didn't understand except the Reagan era. And I'm going to call the UFO Secret Space Program that we need topics, and we need alienology separate in the UFO Secret Space Command, because that's what I'm doing is I'm establishing those that study aliens separate from those that study UFOs in historical value or in history, that the books that may be in the future, because people that study the aliens they may study the vehicles, they may not. But we've been so limited. I remember, Janet, you and Ken probably do, when we didn't have ufology. And it was a big deal. I went through that in 2000-something till 2006. And I was on the road doing the government's bidding, and I went out to Roswell to talk to Glenn Dennis. And we had to have training on the planet, and we didn't have enough of the computer simulations. And they put me in place in Oklahoma. They put my daughter in place in Oklahoma when we were training. And then we went out, and the gaming, a lot of people don't know the deep history of their country or in AI or in computers, but we were going around, and not only were we taking stuff in and out, not in uniform, because most of the time we worked out a uniform, but having people, and Ken, you can appreciate this being a pilot. You know how they have to train, but they have simulations? We had desktop simulations in Oklahoma, and aren't you from that area? Because I was part of that, so was my daughter. But people, you can't talk about that stuff. It's not secret or clear. It's just who cares? So this makes what you and I are doing important. You're in Oklahoma, and where did you go to any flying commands or anything? Because we needed pilots, and part of my job was to make sure the kids got trained. Guess what? Star Wars and Stargate and all that was far, mainly Star Wars. Going around and putting those games and using, being involved with your hands and feet and flying those spacecraft. Go ahead.
I remember that, actually going through and doing that test. You
did? See?
I did.
You remember? And how many times did your plane fall? And you were like, wait a minute, I want another turn, and everything goes dead. It's very embarrassing.
Yep.
But, you have to pass a test sooner or later before you get to go out and do the deal. But we were training people around the country. I've got so many little Mandela lines are crossing, Ken, that I want to start connecting the dots to make it understood that we've been training people on this planet a long time. Now, Ken, I don't know if you're going to call yourself an extraterrestrial, but I call everybody, because if you go out there and everybody that's on this little bitty dot, they're like fleas on the ticks or ticks on a dog. We're on spacecraft Earth. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely do, and I totally agree. We are offsprings of extraterrestrials, and therefore we are ETs here on this planet Earth. But can I jump in here for a little bit? I got to go back, because you guys are tying things together for me, and I'm having a blast. Recall. I think Jan talked about her memory. I had a total recall, 100% recall. In third grade, the teacher, for instance, we had the homework supposed to read a story, and the teacher says, okay, who wants to tell us about the story last night? And I held up my hand, and she says, fine. So I walked up in front of the classroom, and she went, she starts making her notes, and I start off, once upon a time, long, long ago, blah, 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 blah. She said, I didn't say read it, I said tell it. I said, I am telling it. So I'm saying those very much in common with those of us that I think have been chosen, picked, taken, used, what have you, at the time when we had those skills and those abilities. So, but I've lost that. I hate to say that, and I'm striving hard to get the gray matter to working better. One of the other things is when I left NASA and started my own little company, that went good for about a year and a half, and then I came back to NASA. They were looking for regular astronauts to go on the Skylab program, and then to the shuttle program, I should say. And then when I came back to work, I went to work at TRW, where Bill Tompkins was a star, I should say, for TRW. And very interesting that he and I did get to speak a couple of months before he passed, very short with his wife there, so I couldn't go into much detail about it. As him, did you and a couple of the about 3 other guys, meet what did he call them? The, not Anunnaki, the extraterrestrial women that worked to help.
Are you talking about? We have Nordic women. Yes. That's all we worked with. That's all. And my husband was over the grill. The Vril.
Vril. B-R-I. Yeah. The girls with the long hair, which was their magical powers.
I got to go to one of their special little get-togethers where she kind of enjoyed being with all of us guys. Anyway, enough said there.
Well, okay, so let's look at that 1 second here, because this is what Bill kept going round and round in his book. selected by extraterrestrials. Now, we're talking the 60s.
Well, I haven't read his book, so just ask me innocently.
Wait. Okay, innocently, and I won't go into any kind of dirty details, but in the 60s, there were a lot of love-ins, and there was a period of, kind of great celebration sexually, very
that's
loose,
tactful.
very
that
loose, very loose, and
nice
that's one of the things that Bill Tompkins talked about. They had all these, they were basically orgies, sexual orgies, and there may have been a lot of drugs, sex, drug, and rock and roll. So, but I'm wondering, since these girls like to be with everybody, if there was something that they were embarking to the people they were with, because they were not human. These were extraterrestrials.
And this being chosen by
got anything from being?
I was called in as a young woman consultant, but if you're leading to, see, back then I wouldn't do any. I've never been promiscuous ever. It doesn't matter if I'm ET
We're not talking about you. We're talking about these girls
I didn't read his book, and I don't read. I know about some stuff during that period because I was in Houston. So if it happened around Houston and NASA, I didn't read his book, thank goodness. No, and the reason is, now you told me to, and that I needed to, but at the same time, there's a lot of stuff probably in the book that I didn't want to, how can I say this? I wanted to use my part of my reality and with what I experienced. So, because remember, Janet and Bill, I've written 30 or 40 books, but I didn't put my on-planet boots on the ground life like I'm talking to you now with
I wanted to throw, and you've taken the ball way off where it was at.
All right, on the people, let me ask Ken.
Let me ask Ken. No, I had a question. I'm waiting for Ken to answer. What I asked him was, because you and Bill were in these orgies with these extraterrestrial women. And I've heard about this at Penn State. This is not the first time I've heard about these things that were going on in those days. Okay, I wasn't born yesterday. I'm aware of it. Okay? I wanted to know, since you were intimate with these extraterrestrial, did you get something from them? Do you think they were changing you in some way, further? I'm going to imagine it. Further genetically altering you, implanting ideas into you so you would take it to accelerate humanity? Or is there anything like that or akin to that happened when you were engaged with these?
Well, I feel almost disappointed. I almost feel disappointed because I was only invited once. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway, but just a minute. I made a note here. Because I can't keep up with you two at the same time. You go so fast.
I'm just asking one question.
Okay.
One question.
Okay.
Oh,
Ken, remember when we were out at dinner and it'd be at somebody influential's house, and only certain people could attend, and then afterwards they would. But see, I didn't know he put all that in his book.
Eyes Wide Shut? Remember the movie Eyes Wide Shut?
No, I didn't see it. I did not see it.
Okay, the inner circle got invited to these things that were very sexual. So this was the inner circle party that Ken got invited to, and it was very sexual with these.
I went to some, but I left early.
Extraterrestrials.
I left early.
I want to say
it was educational.
It was educational.
You be the boy, Ken.
Okay. Then Ken's the boy. Do you think you came away with any new awareness from being in that thing besides having a good time? I'm talking about, do you think they enhanced you, woke you up, or something? What happened being with these
I think it just gave me a better understanding of what we are here on this planet, and I was very comfortable with who I was and who I am there. And the other thing I want to throw in real fast is, did either one of you wind up in meetings with Dr. Werner von Braun? Because I did.
He was at NASA a lot. I did.
Okay. And looking back,